Father God, we thank you and we come before you once again, humble as we know how. First of all, God, we thank you, God, for those that have authority over us. We thank you, God, for those that have put in harm's way. We ask that you cover them under the blood, God. We ask, God, that we be on one accord, God, to get a job done. God, we thank you, God, for the new commissioner, God, that have come on. And we pray for those, God, that have went on their journey, God. So, Father, we ask that you be with us today. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held on Tuesday, December 8th, 2020 at 5 p.m. in the County Commission Chambers in LaBelle, Florida. In attendance are Chairman Mitchell Wills, Vice Chair Emma Verd, Commissioner Darrell Harris, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, County Attorney Mark Lapp, Deputy Clerk Anita Bichelle.
Thank you, ma'am. The first thing we have tonight is our reorganization of the board and the different boards that we all sit upon. So we're gonna tackle that first.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
First off, just before we jump into that, the old mule here I'm so glad to see you here. I'm a little bit mad at you for being here, but I'm very happy that you're here, all in one fell swoop. So I'm sure it's against some giant rule, but if
Called hard-headed.
man, you gotta love it though. It's so good to see you here, Commissioner Harris. So happy to see you, and thank you for being with us. Don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. Okay, all right. Now jump into business. Mr. Chair, I'd like to talk to you and Commissioner Byrd about what y'all think on this. I would like to throw out there, Ms. Byrd, I'd like for you to be the chair of our board, but I'd like to have a healthy conversation about it. I want to know, are you ready to do it, Ms. Byrd? Do you want to be the chair of our board? What are your thoughts? And then obviously that's the will of this board. And let's have a great discussion. And then I'd like to also put in mind that I think we've done a really good job the last few years of making sure that staff doesn't have the uncomfortable position of having to get to Clewiston for a signature. And so, if we do have Ms. Byrd become the chair, let's also make sure that we have Commissioner Wills or Commissioner Harris that are here to sign in the event Ms. Byrd's, on the other side of the county and staff needs something kind of quickly. So what are y'all's thoughts, everybody?
Yes or no?
I think if it's not broke, why would you fix it? It's not broke.
Okay, that's enough said.
I would make a motion to keep it same as last year.
Second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion on the board?
Commissioner Wills, you ready to stay in the saddle, right?
I'm good.
Good deal.
I hadn't fell off yet.
All right, I like it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any changes on the other portions? Is everything good with everyone?
Commissioner Wills, Mr. Chair, congratulations, and Commissioner Byrd, congratulations on the vice chair. I would like to ask that yourself and Commissioner Iglesias step onto the Coastal and Heartland National Estuary Partnership. I'd like to move away from that for a year, please.
Okay.
No reason other than I'm just a little bit overwhelmed and haven't been able to engage some of those meetings like I would like to. And I'd like for y'all to step up if at all possible on that.
I'm on the Value Adjustment Board. I'm the chair. Left my name off.
Do you want to stay there, Commissioner Harris? Okay, because you usually try to throw that on somebody.
No, I've
And
been
then, yeah, you do. And then,
Been
and
there
then
for a
also, y'all, what is the rules?
I
It doesn't
was-
matter. Canvassing's irrelevant this
I
year.
was on that board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
okay.
don't
Yep.
need them.
Yep, okay.
2 years.
Want to stay on the Economic Development Council?
You know what? Commissioner Iglesias, would you like to jump on that one?
You're ready to get off, I will.
You know what, Commissioner Iglesias? By all means, step onto that. I think that would be a welcomed addition there. The Economic Development Council, and then the one, the Lake Okeechobee Water Coalition Board. I would love to keep that position. We actually have a meeting this Friday coming
I'd
up.
rather kind of stay off as many water boards. I do that on a day job.
10-4.
I need to learn everywhere else.
The public risk management, Commissioner Iglesias, with your background in insurance for as many years as you were in that, Ms. Davis, Ms. Davis, that is something that we could have a board member be there. It's a voting position, correct?
But please keep in mind, health, I didn't do, but the liability would be something that I can be involved with.
Members, and so one.
Okay.
So right now it's and so
Mr. Chair?
Sir.
Commissioner Iglesias, one thing I'd like for you to really contemplate on this is that if your schedule could stand it, I think that health and liability are both areas where we could experience significant savings in the event we engage those. And staff has done a good job through the years.
No, I get it. Just my background wasn't in health.
I understand,
property and
but
casualty,
your background ain't A to Z either, and now you get to deal with burying people. So welcome to the club. You're here now, and so
give it to me.
I think Ms. Davis,
Nothing I
how
can't
y'all would like to
handle.
work that? I'd love to see Commissioner Iglesias engage that if you're receptive to getting on there, Commissioner Iglesias.
That's good.
Who's going to be the alternate?
Do you want to be it, Ms. Davis, or do you want to leave it as Mr. Ian Proverbs?
Well, she don't need to be the alternate.
for the liability
For health.
of the health.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Mr. Chair, you stay there. Small County Coalition, Commissioner Iglesias, I think that would be another great one. Just through my background, Commissioner Byrd, Commissioner Iglesias, I mean, the way y'all are leaning in on that, I think it's huge if we could step in and have new people roll in that. And the rest of them, I was just I think they're going to stay the same unless Commissioner Wills wants to let me get on the Henry LaBelle Rec Board.
No.
Okay. I asked Commissioner Wills. That's what it is. I don't understand why the Godfather has to tell me no. Did you hear how quick he said that? Good Lord. Okay.
Sure about that? Did you hear him okay?
I'm trying to tell you, man.
Yeah, we took care of that.
And then we have, y'all saw we have the Children's Advocacy Center in Southwest Florida and the Heartland Coalition for the Homeless. Ms. Hunter is representing on those for us. So, man, that's awesome.
Need a motion to accept? I make a motion to accept.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Iglesias. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're going to kind of shift things around just a little bit. Dr. Pepe, we're going to go ahead and have you come first, so you're not here all night long, and we know you got a long travel, so we'll just move you right to the front if that's okay with you.
Oh, what's the first thing? He's going to go for it. I think so. Now I just have to hold it so it doesn't fall off the podium. That looks. I'm not an AV crew. Oh, much better. Hi, good evening. I wanted to share with you some data. Let me show you kind of some information that you're used to looking at. That's the dashboard that typically is on the state page. And the bottom line is for the state, the number of cases has gone up fairly significantly. We've had days over 10,000 cases for the state, 9,000, 8,000 cases for the state. Where we're at for Hendry County, it's not has been as bad of an impact as it has in other counties, and I think some of the reasons for that has been that that the positivity rate has been staying relatively higher than some of these other counties. So those counties that were not impacted before are getting heavily impacted now. So I think that's a big part of it. But numbers are definitely up. What we're seeing is cases pretty much everywhere, in families, at workplaces, schools, pretty much all over the place. But the good news is that the median age of those getting this is much younger, so the probability of better health outcomes is much better, as well as you can see the median age is 37. In other counties, it's much higher. So that's helping. And then you could see over on the right, of the 2,600 people, only 242 were hospitalized. But what I wanted to share with you was when we look behind the scenes, so it's all public data, but what we did was we built a dashboard so that we can start to aggregate the information and really get a better understanding of what it looks like. So our fatality rate is actually better than the state rate, so that's very good to report out. Our hospitalization rate is fairly high, but I think that's a function of our smaller population. So, but the overall event positivity is much higher. In several other counties, the positivity rate for the other areas are around 10%, maybe 12%. But if you look right now, the good news is that our current positivity for the most recent testing is at 7%. So what we're seeing is that that it's staying busy but steady, and then we've had fairly significant uptick in different types of testing. So we have the capability of doing rapid tests along with our partners when that's appropriate, and as well as doing the other testing that we've been doing. And we've been working with FDACS as well for the agricultural side, making sure that we're doing everything we can do to keep our farm workers safe and working well. When we take a look at, and we slice it by different time, you can kind of get a feel for what it's been looking like. So it's not, we've not seen these big, massive spikes, although we did have a pretty busy day recently with 32 cases. And we think this is a big part of our Thanksgiving surge, is people getting together and gathering, holiday travel and things like that. So the answer is to see where this goes from here, and if the numbers kind of subside for a little bit, and then we'll go into Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, things like that, and then we'll come out into the new year, and hopefully by then we'll start vaccinating. When we look at the breakdown in the last 90 days, you can see that a big percentage is really our young adults, working families, things like that. So what we're seeing is just people just have a higher level of mobility. They're out in the community and things like that. So just really making sure that that we're educating as much as possible so that we can keep people safe. My biggest concern with this is these are multi-generational homes. So you have grandparents, caregivers, things like that run the risk of exposure. So we're trying to do everything we can on that side to make sure that we can protect our most vulnerable. Our hospital's doing okay. Our pediatrics are doing okay as far as the school cases. You can see the school cases have been coming up. So last month we had 42 school-age cases, and right now we're at 23 for this month. So if you project out, when we're at the 8th of December, we're projected probably more like 60 pediatric cases for the county. So we're hoping that the holiday break will help kind of put a stop to some of that. What we're seeing is, a lot of extracurricular activities, socializing, and you have multiple children in the same home, that type of thing. So we're not seeing a massive explosion of cases, but it is definitely coming up steadily, as with the rest of the nation, quite honestly. When we look at that slide's not working. When we look at the fatalities, one of the things, and I just want to share with you that it's really correlating very heavily with age, like we talked about before. And when we look at our cases by age group, you can see that it's fairly evenly distributed across different age categories. So 15 to 24, 25 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 to 54. So again, just family spread across multi-generations. But I wanted to share this with you just because it kind of visually depicts some of the data and all the different spreadsheets that we get from ACA and what we get from the Department of Health and different things. But it paints the picture of saying that our hospital system's holding its own, although the coastal hospitals are very busy. And that we have the infrastructure and the resources we need to take care of our community right now. We probably are really more focused right now moving into the next chapter in this is where are we at with the vaccines. And so on the 10th and then on the 17th, the first two vaccines are going to go before emergency use authorization approval. And once those are approved, Immediately following each one of those meetings, there's an advisory group that meets and puts the criteria together for contraindications and all of the recommendations. And then from there, distribution of vaccines should occur. Now, in the state, we're going to get probably a very small initial push. We don't know exactly what that number is going to look like just yet. But it'll be a small initial push, and there's I believe it's 5 hospitals that are going to receive the initial push, as well as our pharmacies in partnership with long-term care facilities, so that we can begin vaccination of our most vulnerable and our healthcare workers. Immediately following that, there's another 45 hospitals that are in that pipeline as well. So the first 5 are really for just scaling up and making sure the supply chain process works and logistics and all of that. The challenge that we have with the vaccines is the first vaccine, and I'll call it vaccine A, requires ultra-cold storage, so it's minus 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the supply chain is pretty tricky. So that's problematic. And so what we've been looking at there was we have several hospitals that are larger hospital districts that have the ultra-cold freezers, as well as CVS and Walgreens have partnered with the long-term care facilities. We've rostered all of them with those facilities so that there's a hub and spoke type model where they can store this ultra cold and then distribute it out as needed. The next chapter is the vaccine B, which does not require the ultra cold, and that is, I believe it's minus 30 is what the freezer temperature is for that one, and we do have that capacity, as well as our hospital and other folks, and I know our hospital's working on the ultra cold capacity as well. And then what we'll do with that is we'll continue to coordinate and push out those vaccines out to whoever wants to get it, as well as based on guidance from CDC as far as going from highest risk and preventing loss of life, and then healthcare worker and infrastructure and so forth, just so we can stabilize things. So realistically, looking at the vaccines, we'll probably see a small amount of vaccines coming into the state sometime in December, is from what we're hearing. And then soon thereafter, it'll start to ramp up through January and February. So I'm hoping at least by the end of January, February, we should be in full swing and being able to have a medical response. Now, a couple of rumors. The vaccines will not be mandated. We're not forcing people to get vaccinated. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of concern over whether or not someone even wants to get vaccinated because of whether it's safe or not. So there's still a lot of information to be learned about that. But we'll continue to share that information as much as we can. And then we've been working to roster up and get all of the partnership agreements out of the way, so this way when we receive product, we can move quickly with working with different organizations to give them vaccine and have them vaccinate their own folks. And so we can really get that out there as quickly as we can. Just because of the nature of the vaccine, it doesn't lend itself to a mass vaccination type model just yet, just because of the freezer and on-site and all that other stuff. So you probably won't be seeing the mass vaccination like we've been doing with open testing, where people can just drive up. At some point we will, but we think that there's going to take a few months for the supply chain to catch up on that. But I feel like I talked a lot, so I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Mr. Chair, I just asked, Ms. Hunter, was that presentation able to be seen at home? Awesome. Okay. Good deal. Good deal.
And if anybody wants to see it, I can do a webinar or whatever. We can certainly host it again.
Thank you, Dr. Pepper. We appreciate you coming and
Sure.
giving us information.
Thank you.
Calendar. Let's skip over the calendar. We have next year's calendar. We need to go ahead and entertain a motion on that to accept the calendar for next year.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd.
Clarification, Mr.
We
Chairman.
had some date changes in December, correct?
Yeah, there was state changes in December that were included on the copy passed out to you. But then additionally, one thing I just thought of sitting here, and this is for you, Mr. Harris and Mr. Wills, I believe the Recreation Board is changing to Thursday evenings at 6.
That's correct.
So this is
I saw that.
misstates
It's a
that.
moving
So,
target.
so that third Thursday at 6 p.m. for Henry Obel Recreation Board, and that will be changed on the final one.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The first thing on the agenda tonight is under bids, ITB number 2020-33.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve bids as presented, and I'd just like to have one little point of discussion on it.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Iglesias. Commissioner Turner?
Yes, sir. Ms. Gaston, I would just love to see, I don't know how familiar you are, and I don't care to discuss it with these builders or contractors, but I would love to see, these bids were open on October 22nd, 2020. Let's see, we're a little right at 45 days since that opening. No, I would assume no work has been performed. When do you anticipate the work will start on these at the first of the
Ms.
year?
Gatson, if you would, come up, please, ma'am, so they can get you on the recorder. Thank you.
Gatson, Housing and Social Services.
Ms. Gaston, is that just protocol for y'all? I mean, what are y'all's thoughts on that? I'm an expedited type person, and I'd love to understand what we could do to speed this up. And then I'd love to see, I don't know if we want to see it in the form of a pie chart or a date, time certain with an Excel or what, but, you know, I know in the past we've had projects like this come back for us for a reapproval, if you will, or an extension so that completions can occur. And I want to avoid that. So I'm really interested to see what can we do to make sure that we're holding this process accountable and we're seeing it move forward and we can get a timeline upgrade. Just like what Mr. Shane Parker has with the correspondence project update list. I think that's such a good tool in our toolbox. And I would just love to see something like that from you all. This is not potentially, this is 100% life-changing for people in their residences, and I would just love to know that we're following through on it. That's it. Could y'all prepare something like that for us?
I'll try my best and present it to you.
Okay, wonderful. I look forward to it. That's it.
You got Glades Roofing, nobody else in the county bid?
At Glades Roofing and Colcal bidded, and I don't think we had anybody from within our county who bidded on these jobs. Close was the other bidder,
They're out of Okeechobee.
yeah, but
Nobody in Henry bid.
Do you want to know why?
They're slammed.
No, that's not my theory, Commissioner Iglesias. What were your thoughts?
They're slammed.
I don't think so. What do you think, Ms. Gadsden?
I think part of it too is some of the bidders that we have are working on our CDBG projects. So it is partly what he is saying, that you don't want to put them where they're,
They all said they're slammed. They all said the contractors are
yeah, you don't
overworked.
want to put them all trying to do CDBG and SHIP at the same time. Then you really have a time frame where we can't get it done.
Want to know my
quick.
thoughts?
Tell me they're 3 months behind.
Want to know my thoughts? My thoughts are the contractors that we have locally are busy, but when they look at these margins that are available on this, it's not entertaining to
Oh,
them.
yeah.
There's nothing good about these numbers. Close construction, if you look at theirs,
They're
you
way
look at
out.
Glade Roofing. Let's just take property number one, 23,190 to 48,600. You know, and people may say, well, that's highway robbery that you can have a spread like that. That's why I want to see, can Glades Roofing actually perform? What's the time frame on project number one?
The time frame for that, at this point, I can't tell you. I really don't know. However, I will say this. However, Glades Roofing has been one of the few contractors who actually do not come back with a revision of their bids, and they're pretty good about doing their getting in and getting out.
Is it? What, I mean,
Got good
the thing I'm saying is
No change.
Ms. Gaston, I'm not being critical of you per se, but you just scared me to death because you said it's going to start in the new year. We're 45 days past the bid opening, but is there a document somewhere that says how long this time frame is going to be? Like,
No, We don't have any document saying how long this time frame is going to be.
But with
Nobody
all-
else finds that as a red
But with
flag?
all due respect, I don't think anybody wants any contractors at their house during Christmas time either.
No, okay, that's fine. I want a contractor to get in and get out as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
The point I'm making is this a 30-day job? Is it a 45-day job? Is it a 60-day? Is it a 90?
Pay the rent kind of thing.
Yeah, because you know why you don't have a revision? Because you got a contract for $23,190 and you have zero intentions. I'm not saying this is what Glades Roofing is doing. You have zero intentions of performing it.
Right.
You know, that's why you can give a number, because you're an idiot and you're doing it for 2 cents on the dollar. You know, I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm just saying we need to check that, and we need to understand what's happening, and then we need to know. I mean, you look at number 2, 36,000, 37,000. Look at number 3, 41,000, 43,000, 51,000. Now we're starting to get tight on the third spread there. I'm wondering why that is. The percent is off, but I just don't want to have an open-ended contract. And I don't remember how many meetings ago it was, but we had some contracts that were multi-years in the making, and that I don't understand how it can be a rehab on a house and it's number of years that it's not being done. So that's it. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
If I may, we are going to be amending our LHAPs to increase the allotment amount based on the information we received from the survey we sent out to the contractors. We also, on tonight's agenda, is our contract with our SHIP assistants for project delivery. And we're looking forward to coming up with a better system with this group. And some of the things that you stated tonight, the concerns, we'll be working with them on those types of things, like the time frame and so on. So I just wanted to let you know that we have some good things coming, and hopefully it'll turn around and we'll do better.
Commissioner Turner's right on point with the time frame, so that's something we really need to make sure we take an eyeball to, because, again, is it a 30-day, if this is a 30-day contract and they wait till day 28, we just need to make sure we're holding them accountable as well. They have no accountability. Right now, it's an open deal. You got an open check. So we do need to make sure accountability is there as well. When we talked about these builders the last time, the problem was that we had stuff that was several years behind, but it wasn't the builders. We were just, and the question was asked, because I asked, where are we in relation to Glades County, Highlands County? Are they in the same situation where they're multiple years behind? And so I'd still like to see the information on that, just to see where we are with that as well.
Glades County, I did call them 14, 15 dollars. So they are much farther behind than we are. With Okeechobee County, they're working on their $19, $20. So they're a year behind. I talked to, it was a while when I called.
17? Yeah.
Oh, the Glades County, it's you guys is kind of incredible, because I was speaking with some folks, lost a roof in Wilma. And just last month, just last month, and they told them, we're not going to put a roof on your home, we're going to replace your home.
Wilma's
Just last
05,
month, they come
right?
in and look at it.
That was 05, Wilma. Yeah. Wasn't it?
5? Yeah, it was 5, yeah. And now we're at 20, about to be 21, and these folks are just now, Glades County is just now getting to that there. So that's the reason I was asking the question. I was curious where we are compared to the other counties.
But it's different in the actually doing the job than bidding, am I right? Because they're behind far as years go about getting the project, or it's because of the funds?
I can't, well, what I understood from the conversation was that at one point they did not have anybody to administer the program. Then once the person came on board, they were trying to clean it up, and it's just been a process trying to play catch up, and they're still trying to play catch up. Because I do know at this point, airship dollars has been suspended, so
Are we flowing? I know we 17, 18, but where are we at? Are you still, because I remember there was a time some of the people was on the back burner because they,
Waiting list.
yeah, they were still on the waiting list.
we're actually start bidding those out probably at the end of January. I have about 10 homes I'm going to be bidding out at the end of January. And then once we get finished with those projects, midway between through those projects, we're going to go ahead and start accepting applications again. Also, when we change our help, or we're looking at putting in the construction piece in there, which will also take a nice chunk of those dollars to be able to help one household build a home.
I know you work hard at it because me and you be going back and forth, so I do appreciate you. Just want to tell you all that because you work hard with me, and I'm one of the people, when they come to me, when they complain, I'm right there with you, and they don't understand that it's a process that, you know, they think that they blink their eye and happen overnight, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gadsden.
You're welcome.
We did have a motion and a second, so is there any further discussion on the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Brings us to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Byrd. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
One thing I did want to ask, Ms. Davis, I didn't know if you wanted, Mr. Chair, did you want to touch on just giving us a general update to the CARES dollars to both municipalities and everything? Just really more than anything is, in case y'all were wondering, I don't know if y'all have heard, but I had been asked by a handful of residents, what are we doing with our CARES dollars? Is the county hoarding the money? Are we getting it out to the municipalities? So on and so forth. So I kind of talked to Ms. Davis, and I was hoping she'd just give us a little quick overview. Excuse me.
Just a quick overview of what's in your report. We received a total of $7.6 million. Of that, $292,000 was from SHIP, dollars for individual assistance. As far as the cities go, we allocated $890,000 to the city of Clewiston, $525,000 to the city of LaBelle. Of the $890,000, we've paid all but the last request, which Mr. Randy's here, and I believe it's around $40,000 maybe is the last request, but we've paid them all but that balance to date. And on the city, I'm sorry. Oh, it's $29,000. Okay, so we've paid them all but that $29,000. Okay, City of Clewiston. City of LaBelle, I don't know off the top of my head, but we have a total of $525,000. Some of what you just approved on the consent agenda allows the county attorney to redo some of the ILAs. There were some questions and concerns that we had with some of the items with all the red tape from the federal government, et cetera, and we didn't want to get into a situation where we would not get reimbursed. So with the approval that you just made to redo these ILAs, we'll be able to pay the balance to the city of LaBelle and/or the whole portion to the city of LaBelle following those executed agreements. As for the business, another part that you just approved is we had approved all of the businesses with the first allocation that was given. We have additional businesses that we were not able to process because we ran out of dollars in that bucket, if you will. We funded all of the approved individual assistances to date, and then in addition to that, we had, I think it's $190,000 left over from SHIP that we have to do between now and December. So as part of this approval, we're shifting $400,000 that originally we had an individual assistance to businesses. So we're hoping, not to say that we'll be able to get 100%, but when you do the math, and there could be some applications that are not approved because they don't qualify, but assuming everyone qualifies, we should be able to fund most of the balance of the remaining business applications. All right, thank you.
You only got 3 weeks.
We only have 3 weeks for the remaining SHIP dollars, but as far as the remaining dollars that the list that you have before you, we're pulling down the dollars from public safety dollars, so that takes that deadline of December 30th that we originally had, and it makes it go away.
Won't be any extensions.
Not that we're aware of at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. It's going to bring us to our public hearings. First one is petition LDC 20-0005.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. This is a county-initiated land development code amendment regarding our specialty contractor categories that require a county certificate of competency. And specifically, we're addressing the specialty license for excavation and land clearing. We had a discussion on this in August, and then again in November, this past meeting, we presented part of this overall discussion we had regarding what permits are required for, what type of activities. And most primarily what we did was we clarified where the exemptions were for agricultural purposes, I should say bona fide agricultural purposes. This agenda item is presenting two options for the board to consider tonight regarding our specialty contractor licensing. We did do some research with adjacent counties. And as you can see in the analysis section, I've noted that we have DeSoto, Highlands, Hardy, Glades, Palm Beach, and Okeechobee counties that do not require local contractor licensing for excavation and land clearing. But then we have Lee County, Charlotte County, and Collier counties do require it. Hendry County's had their specialty license, including the excavation and land clearing, on their books since 2004 without any complaints per se on our requirements.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
I appreciate the presentation. I'd like to jump to the chase on this one. The comment that just made me want to jump in was, I guess staff doesn't receive any complaints. I don't know how many times I've been called on this, and I get an expletive, and why are we requiring them to have a license to go clear a lot when I don't have to do it? And it's ironic. Great job, Ms. Emblich, of the list of counties that don't have to require that. I appreciate y'all putting that in there. My concept on this, and I think we had a very healthy conversation on this, and if I remember correctly, what the board was kind of looking at was, if somebody wants to hire Joe or Rhonda, who owns a skid steer and is trying to make some money, and they want to go out there and they want to clear the land, short of a wetland, which is on the district, and then other aspects that are DEP and different things, we want to let them go do it. Wasn't that the gist? Okay, all right. So the option that does that one is that's option 2, correct?
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to propose we approve option 2,
I'll second
and
that.
I'd like to hear why y'all dislike that, or what y'all's thoughts are. Ms. Emblich, you as well, why you don't want to do it, or whoever would like to speak. So.
Well, the only difference between option 1 and option 2 is option 1 adds a lesser license for those folks that only want to do the activities of land clearing and the like. And we do have half a dozen businesses that have the excavation license for that very reason of only wanting to do clearing activities and not the higher level of excavation as described in the scope. And the main changes that you're speaking of that would occur in 2 is that we're clarifying that excavation contractor, that license would include the excavation and the land clearing, et cetera. The way it was written was unclear as to what it was really intended for. And then the other one was the other major change is, or recommendation here, is that this would again exempt the activities for bona fide agricultural purposes would not be included in this scope and do not require licensure for for the excavation contractor.
So that's that, and that to me is the rub. Is I don't want them to have a license. Agriculture, I don't know how it ever got into there to begin with. Shame on us, we didn't see it. We've discovered that. Secondly, on the other aspect of things, is I'm wore out, guys. Code enforcement, the other aspects of our licensing and what we have to pull permits for and all that stuff. All I hear is we have not enough staff and we need to have more people. So let's remove one of the check boxes that they have to worry about. And you don't have to. You want to go clear land in Henry County, go clear it. Go hire your boy and go get it done.
Mark, did you want to say
What's
something?
wrong with that?
Yeah, just a clarification, and as I'm hearing the discussion, it kind of brings to light that we may need to change. If we're going with option 2, we probably would want to remove from the scope of excavation contractor.
I'm not talking about excavating.
Right.
I'm not talking about going subsurface.
Okay, what I'm saying is you would want to remove from the scope of excavation contractor basically everything after the word levies, because when we say within the scope of excavation is clearing land, grubbing roots, removing debris.
There you go.
That it implies, what we were trying to do was to say those excavation contractors can do all that. They're allowed to do that. But if we don't have a land clearing license, if we only have an excavation license, then if somebody's out doing land clearing and land clearing is listed under excavation, the argument might be made by somebody who's opposing that person to say, you've got to go get an excavation contractor license to do land clearing. And so if we really want to exempt the grubbers, the clearers, the levelers from, then we would end the sentence at levies.
Well, we can do that if it's the position of the board, but from my position, from a professional planner position, I don't agree with that. And the reason why I don't agree with not requiring a license for some kind of clearing is because we have folks that are complaining about other folks clearing their property completely of any of their trees and grasses and what have you. And the impacts of that, if they don't turn around and then stabilize it with, ground cover or grasses or what have you, you've got runoff of the dirt onto adjacent properties. Well, if you're even in Montura, Pioneer, or in Port LaBelle, you have somebody that clears a property without getting a permit and dealing with it correctly, it'll impact the adjacent property owners. And I will tell you with the process we have going with the Montura Ranch Estates land use study, that's one of the topics is they want to have a tree preservation regulation that would not allow folks to just go in there and clear completely, especially heritage trees, like, the oaks or something that would, fall under that definition we would create. But this is not unusual. I mean, there are, most jurisdictions try to protect the clearing so that it doesn't impact adjacent property owners. It doesn't clear the heritage trees. It doesn't clear wetlands, and also there's not clearing that would impact a floodway. And I'm just, from my opinion and my perspective, I think that not requiring a license, and in addition, we have a permit that's required for land clearing, but we've exempt, for bona fide agricultural purposes. So if we have a permit that they're required to have, they don't have to have a license to do it. I might still be able to accomplish what I just talked about. But I'm just relaying that from my position, I think that, somebody can go out and hire John Q. Land Clearing Company that's not really a company, it's just a friend of yours that has a skid steer that can come out and you can hire them, and they do the work. We're not going to take the time to chase folks around. What we want to do is make sure that we're regulating what's being cleared, and not with agriculture, but it's more in what we have in our, I'll say primarily residential subdivisions is what I'm concerned about.
The only thing is you say you're not going to run around and chase them, but when you get a call, then you're going to have to run around and chase them.
I understand.
Like Commissioner Turner's saying, why add to the problem? We have a problem, so why add to it? So the second thing is, I have friends who took every tree off their property. They don't want trees. They don't want flowers. They don't want shrubs. They just want a yard. They have a nice green yard. So when they bought that property, they wouldn't want one of us to walk in there and tell them you can't take that tree, and that tree. At that point, they would say, then you buy the property. So I understand both ways. You're talking about a business and law exam they got to take, and it's a 4 years of experience. One of them was 2 years, one was 4 years, correct?
Yes.
And there was a business and law exam. Now you get a young lad that comes out of high school,
Ready to get after it.
and he's got a skid steer, and this kid wants to go to work. He's going to go to work with a skid steer. The kid's been running a skid steer since he was 10. Does a great job. I want him to come over to my house and clear some property. So then I have to pull a permit, and he has to have pass the business and law exam. There's no way he's got the years of experience because he didn't work for a contractor. Worked for his dad, someone like that. So I'm kind of in the same. I'm in the same mindset of what you're saying down there.
Sounds like we've made our decision.
Well, everyone else, someone else, if you've got a different opinion, we need to.
I
Well,
think that, Mr. Chair, the permit, to get the permit, I don't have a problem with, just so they'll know that they're there and what they're doing and where they're putting their waste at. But to have the license, I think they don't need a license to come in to clear the land.
They need a permit.
Well, just so they'll know where they cleared off the land and where they put it.
I can guarantee you,
Put it on the vacant lot next door.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. At least so they'll know they where they dumped it, whatever they dumped. But
They got to have some oversight.
I don't disagree. The permit I'm okay with. I can guarantee you we don't have a permit pulled on every lot that gets cleared anyway.
Right.
But I'm not going to get into where I see we have shortcomings on things that we're missing the mark on. What I'm saying is as it relates to what I've heard from a standpoint of staff saying too much of a burden, I don't want to have another layer of government that's interfering. I can't believe we've spent this many minutes on this. As a decision, we've made a decision as a board to approve option 2. I'm good with it. Ms. Davis, what are your thoughts?
My recommendation has always been option 2. And
Got a motion by Commissioner Turner, a second by Commissioner Iglesias.
And I clarified that I think.
with the excavation, we're not going to go subsurface.
We're going to stop at level.
Levies.
Yes, sir.
Levies.
Correct.
Strike the rest of the text in that last sentence, which was added. Do not require a licensure. So excavation on a ag property would not be subject to having to have a license.
And I did read that some of that did say private property that was also not in the same scope as that. So I understand. I know we got to keep, as you say, there's got to be some kind of supervision over that. But we also got to be careful that we don't create too much government. We don't want to create things that we can enforce. Hindsight, the light was having issues with wanting to change ordinances, and we can't enforce the ones we have now. And adding to them it's going to put egg on our face because we're going to have people come back and say, well, you put this in there, and now you're not doing anything about it. So we just option 2 is what we're at. We're ready for a vote unless someone has more conversation up here.
I'd just like to argue with you, Mr. Chair, a little bit too about
Let's argue.
why you want to cut all the trees down, man. It's just
I love
mean.
trees. I got trees everywhere, but I've got friends that don't. They take them out. The only trees I take down are lightning rods, and I don't have no use for a pine tree.
I still get so sad thinking about when we did 80 and not having a
Got all the
conversation
pretty
with
oak trees out
FDOT.
there. See?
Oh, that's so it drives me
But no
nuts.
ugly pine trees there.
Say something, look behind.
Let me guess, somebody loves pine trees.
Yeah, and so
I'll argue with them about that too. All right, this is a public hearing, so anyone in the public like to speak and address this at this time? I thought you was on B, Mr. DeLance. We're not on there yet. Do you want to talk about this as well?
Just for 2 seconds.
2 seconds. Well, it's going to take you that long to get up here, but come on.
And
You would just state your name, please, sir, for the record when you get here, and
Concerning clearing land. You can clear land, we understand that. But one of the biggest things that no one in many, many locations pays any sense to is when you clear it, you don't care about your neighbors. Your water flow, they don't care if it goes the wrong way. If they fill their land, they don't set up proper drainage or anything else.
Yeah, that's what Commissioner Iglesias was, that's a statement he actually made just a few moments ago, so.
And it totally destroys the quality of the whole road. Same way.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Lance.
So would that only happen if it's not inspected?
They're still
For the
gonna,
permit, you'll have an inspection to it. Now,
So they would have an inspection where the neighbors would be satisfied.
Absolutely not, if they're gonna clear it. You have hot neighbors regardless.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want them
we'll be back
just,
because we took out a tree.
Yeah, yeah.
you don't want them to just push everything on the two.
I don't disagree with that, and I don't know how that breaks down from a detailed perspective of, if they set a berm on their property and what the slope is and how it's going from a drainage perspective.
We'll get into a site plan there.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're getting into a site plan.
We're not wanting to go there. I can tell you the property we had in Port LaBelle, the church property we had, we cleared the property, and we came back, and they had cleared the property next to us and brought us all their debris. So we had to go back to that property owner and have them remove their debris back onto their property. So I get it. I mean, I understand. It's just, again, we didn't call the county and say, hey, these guys put all their stuff on our property. We just went and told the property owner, hey, obviously we cleared ours and you did too, but take yours with you. So but it's amazing that we can't communicate no more without having to do all these little things. So, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Continue on. Petition B, CPA 20-0007.
Commissioners, this is an adoption hearing for a comprehensive plan text amendment. You had heard this previously for the transmittal. No changes have occurred since then. We've received support from the state reviewing agencies. And so this, our staff is recommending that you conduct a public hearing and adopt the comprehensive plan per the attached ordinance.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve option 1 for the comprehensive Plex Stand Amendment to Agricultural Fusion Lands Classification Minimum Lot Size Standards Adoption.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. This is also a hearing in public. Mr. Lance, you filled out the card for this one. You'd like to come back on that?
Agree with the fact that we have numerous locations where the land can be adopted, residential or what have you. But the land where I live, that area, got to be over 10 years ago now, without notification was 2.5 acre tracts. And it was 5 acre tracts, rural residential. It was done without notification or anything else. And if you're going to take an area such as that, that is, we call it a dead end road because it goes into the Orange Grove and what have you, into Perkins property. No thought for the roads, no thought for drainage, no thought for anything, and it's turned into a total nightmare. The numerous trucks, the roads are caving in and not being repaired, and it's a non-ending mess. Traffic is beyond comprehension. There is no codification that is really taking care of it, and it's been brought to the subject many, many times. And the properties that are being used are illegal for what's going on. If a man for a living drives a truck, let him drive his truck. Don't have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. My neighbor across the street has been a truck driver for years. and you hardly hear him when he comes in, hardly hear him when he leaves. It's not a bother. But when it's overused and overpushed in illegal type businesses, and they fill their land, which you have a right to do, as long as you control the drainage so it doesn't drain on adjacent properties. And the old drainage, the backfills, nothing, different things are blocked, and the flooding is just during the rainy season, of course, more so. But the flooding is enormous, and nothing is being done. And if you're going to do other areas, which I understand, but if they're going to end up like what I've got, I feel sorry for those people, and they haven't even seen what's going to come.
Mr. DeLance, we spoke about this many times, and the county engineer is right there. He can get up. But he has told us over and over again that there's nothing can be done.
Then why did it ever happen in the first place? It was always perfect. I've lived there for, 45 years now?
When did it happen?
It started when it was changed to 2.5 acre tracts.
Oh, 2.5 acre tracts.
Correct. And it's because everybody's doing whatever they want.
So
The natural drainage has stopped.
but you think the 2.5 did it? You think the 2.5 is what caused that?
Part of it is that, yes, and it's done a lot of blockage, but even the drainage swings to the A road is blocked because the one drainage system over there was plugged. It was brought forward not that long ago, and it's still plugged.
I know last year I was actually on site when they took the Traco went off the end of A Road, went down through
All the way down to the,
no sir, Christmas on A Road. This was down at what's her name? Yeah, I went past that, but it went all the way back in there.
Duke Bailey's ditch.
And when they opened that, no sir, this is way beyond Duke Bailey's ditch.
Oh, I know where the other one is.
That opened up quite a bit of drainage, and that water left.
Yeah, but
I haven't been there this year during the rainy season, but I know we got
water
20
goes-
plus inches this year, so we got a little abnormal rain.
no, but the water goes down the other side of A Road. Water that comes and swings through just past Mario Acevedo's property, where that's been the natural drainage for ever since I lived.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. I've lived there 50 years myself, so.
Yeah, but it's blocked, and you can't go across the road because the drainage is on the other side.
I don't believe there's any equalizers in that road at all. There is no equalizer. But it does go all the way to the east of the end of that road, and that's where they opened it up and took it around to start a different flow down there. Maddox,
blocked the,
Maddox property down there.
The last swale that is on this
Right.
this side, that's blocked too, so it can't go like this and go back down.
All right. Well, we got to get back out and look at that. I don't believe that has nothing to do with the 2.5 acre lots. I mean, right, what we're trying to do is avoid the last conversation was trying to avoid the impact that it's going to make on property owners to either side of you. So,
Oh, yeah.
2.5 acres. I mean,
Well, the biggest thing is that
yes. Well, that's exactly what staff's talking about the same thing.
critical move.
Mr. DeLance, you stay here and let Shane, you can understand what he's saying.
Okay, two issues. We'll start with the roads first. I can't tell you the year off the top of my head, but we've done research when Case and Evans Road, Alphabet Road's been there for years. They go back into farm fields, and then along come the platting, or the unrecorded plats, LaBelle Ranchettes, broke them up into tracts. Unfortunately for Mr. Lance, that area is not what we call a modern subdivision where you have a master stormwater system with berms and ponds and designated outfalls. All you have is east-west ditches along Case and Evans, and you have the Duke Bailey outfall, and you got a few cross drains on the road. It's not a great system, but it's pine flatwoods, and it goes from the south to the north, working its way to the river. Everything to the south of LaBelle Ranchettes, there's a couple old South Florida permitted berms that are in place that they have permits. They discharge to A Road. There's another one that discharges to the east to what is the ditch overflows through land to the Duke Bailey extension southward. There is at least one cross drain that we found under A Road, but it's fairly high. But the water on the north side of A Road goes to the west, then goes out the Christmas ditch. On the south side, there's a break at the, I can't remember I'm not going to say what it is. There's a big, like, Spanish ranch house. It splits right there. We did some drainage improvements there, but we can't regulate farm field ditches or abandoned farm field ditches. That's not in our scope. That's not something the county does. If a person has a cow pasture and they don't want to clean the old farm field ditches that were created to farm, well, that's up to them. That's not up to us. But major drainage conveyances we can do. And we do. As far as 2.5 acre lots, I don't see how that affects anything in drainage. I can understand.
Impact the roads, yes, but not drainage.
Sir?
Impact the roads, but not drainage.
Additional traffic, but it is what it is. And at the end of A Road, those farm fields, a lot of that area is going to conservation easements, so there's going to be less traffic in the future. But those ag producers were there before a lot of those people moved in. I can't speak to migrant buses and all that. But 2.5 acre tracts is not going to affect the drainage. But now if you have someone build up your lot next to you and put several feet of fill, then you could have problems where the sheet flow goes over to you. But I haven't seen where anybody backfilled all their lots several feet. You shouldn't backfill wetlands or anything. You need to have those as storage. I have to say, there's nothing we could do.
Mr. Parker, you're on point. The wetlands do get filled up. You know, we had that problem in Felda.
Yeah.
Until someone complains, we don't, there's no way we're going to know that.
Exactly.
And once someone complains, then we can get in, we can find it. In some of the places we've had to go to quite a bit of an extreme just to see what people's doing on the property. So that's an ongoing fight there with the water. Trust me, I know that one ditch you're talking about where it goes back and comes under the Christmas ditch. Wow, that's been a battle. So, but we're in the same situation, so we just got to figure out a way to
Shane,
get it going. So,
all the water from A Road goes to Evans Road.
Water on A Road.
not all of it.
Water on A Road, if it's on the south side, there's a break where the large Spanish house and the racetracks are. It splits and goes east and west. Water to the west goes to under A Road at the Christmas Canal, goes out to 29, works its way under Helms and out Pools Gully.
Where the big house is, it's about at the end of the road anyway.
Midways, about midways. And then it works eastward from there and goes, we opened up all the plugs, it goes east till you get to the fish farm, goes under A Road, then, which is basically a silly extension of Duke Bailey Ditch, and works its way north. And if it's on the north side, basically everything from the Dick Crockett Grove, and it goes west all the way back to the Christmas Canal. And then Dick Crockett has it, there's no ditching from his property, has outfall that discharges to the east, goes into like a little wooded area, and then works its way to the Duke Bailey Ditch and goes northward.
So A Road wouldn't have an effect on Evans Road.
A Road would be more like a dike holding anything to the south from getting to Case and Evans.
B road stay wet.
But there's pastures in the middle, land in the middle, ag land, that along the north side that has water that has to work its way north, which goes to Case and Evans. But some of those have outfalls to the south, back to A Road if they crank the pumps up. Some don't, so they just stay in a bowl and get flooded.
You can't do anything about that.
Nothing I can do about it.
Any question, Mr. Lynn?
I can say we improve the drainage over there. They had a lot of rain at when we had that large rain event. There was a lot of water inside Mr. Mario Acevedo's property, old old farm field ditches.
Of course, you're flooding backwards up that canal again.
road is permanent through the district, so we can't do anything about that. All those individual tracks.
So Shane, so he just said Mr. Acevedo backs up to your yard. So A Road is in front of y'all.
Road is to the south of that.
A Road's to the south of y'all. Okay. And so he has a swell or a ditch.
I have a swale.
That's not our easement, Shane?
Our easement's an old farm field ditch. It's on private property. Like, I think the ditch may be slightly, I didn't have a survey to look, but in the field to look, I should say. So I don't know if the ditch is like straddles a property line and they got off, but basically that ditch runs all through property owners. And it goes into a wetland and it goes up its wood. It's not maintained, but it's an old farm field ditch.
Well, obviously we had a bit of an anomaly with our rainfall in the last few months, especially for the time being. But Shane, you've done some wonders in other areas of the county, and I don't think you've played in the gray. I mean, you and I, for example, had to sit with Flaghole Drainage District and talk to them about how do we get control of easements and make sure that the east-west runners go into the north-south laterals and so on and so forth, and then runs back into the C5 prior to getting to this 135 or whatever it is that abuts Flaghole. The point I'm making is there any low-hanging fruit to be harvested here that we could look at that farm field ditch and then put a crease in a swell that allows for drainage to occur so that Mr. DeLance and Mr. Acevedo and whoever other from a constituent standpoint, for pennies on the dollar,
The only way to get
see
that
relief.
water, the only way to get that water out of that ditch was either the landowners have to privately clean it, or you have to get easements. Well, you're gonna have to get easements from somebody. I mean, the water wants to go to the north. I mean, if you can get an easement, Mr. Lance wants to give easement, send it through to Case Road and then let it work along. You could do that, but the only hesitation I have about that, besides getting easement from landowners, is if we have to modify something on that permit because it's an existing permitted.
and that's with us in the district.
That's with us in the district.
I think this is your district or y'all's? I think y'all should kind of whiteboard this a little bit and think about it. And I think that we have an extremely good relationship with the district, and this may be something that we could find a solution for the residents of that area. Because, I mean, let's not even get into the life safety issue of water setting and mosquitoes and all of that nonsense. Let's just talk about it from a standpoint of just a nuisance. It's just aggravating for your yard to be inundated for weeks on end. And I understand that everybody chose to live out there in Alphabet. I get that. But it still doesn't mean that if we have a little bit of infrastructure that's close to being able to serve us, and then we just got to essentially modify and show sheet flow going into it and then running back north and getting back to where it needs to go, I think it's worth y'all at least visiting to look at. And I would be willing to I would be willing to support Commissioner Harris for once in his life finally doing something other than a sidewalk in his district, and maybe having the county spend some money on putting a long stem out there and creating a little bit of a divergent water flow. So that's it.
With that being said, we've got several other projects that we're going to be working on the same scenarios with. Felda's one of them, and the other one's going to be the Austin, what's the name of that?
Wheeler.
No, sir. It runs by Miss Hanson's house.
Yeah.
We got a problem there. Yes, and we got several that we're going to have to engage the
And I
district
think, I don't know if we short straw it out up here, but I mean, one of my things on my short list tonight, Shane, is I'd love to have an update from you on Flaghole Drainage District of when was the last time, we can have this offline, but when was the last time we maintenance those, all of the laterals out there. And then I know, like, behind Mr. Story's house, he probably wants to wring my neck right now because we haven't lowered a high spot back there that would allow for it to run off. And I think that's pennies on the dollar once again. But I don't know if we need to actually look at, we've let that money recharge for a few years, go back and talk to the drainage district and say, hey, could we have another $15K like we did one time? And then we get a gangbuster number like Mr. Ridgel did for us as well, straddle that ditch and clean some stuff. Just thoughts of thinking out there.
Answer Flaghole?
Nope, I don't want you to answer it. We'll talk about it. But you know, the point I'm making with that is, you're talking about we're going to be in one area. Well, now let's just say we're in Felda.
This is multiple areas.
Yes, sir.
One area is affecting
No, I understand.
multiple areas.
Yep, yes, that's what I'm saying. If we've mobilized, we've put equipment down, you just got your fancy new trailer, right? So we take our equipment down to Felda, Shane, and we're bringing it back up. Hey, let's pull in right there off of 29 and pop in Alphabet Roads and get after it a little bit and just work our way north. And now, you know, it gives all of us the ability to look at our constituents and say, this is your dollars at work. We're taking something that's aggravating as can be, and we're actually, you know, we're turning the needle, we're moving the needle, so to speak. So
Heard anything on the creeks while you up here?
that Pollywog, you talking about Pollywog?
There's 5 of them over there.
He's still wanting to get stuff cleaned out, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're full.
I believe, I'm trying to remember, it's been so long,
Oh,
but,
you couldn't forget.
no, I haven't forgotten.
No, he said it, Commissioner Harris. He said, it's so far down the totem pole of life for me, I don't even worry about it.
He gets in his car and goes to Fort Mill.
That's it. That's it. Just rides out.
We have
Right,
to.
the,
Gets Engineer of the Year.
Mr.
And
Delance is done, huh, don't you?
The study was done. They're asking for, I think Timmy had some questions on some mitigation for the Roy Brown, not the cleaning of the creeks. We got to put an invitation to bid out for cleaning. I did respond to DEP and Dan DeLisi
Pollywog?
on the Pollywog. I
When did you
had,
respond to them, Shane?
today I had Special District's office.
We were going to a meeting, so he.
No, actually, I found the email in my inbox. But Special Districts did some research on the past due taxes. I have to get with Mark Lapp. I got a breakdown from Jennifer Barron of their office. And so about next steps, I think we need to do an updated title search to make sure there's no additional easements. But
Mr. Chair,
30,000.
as it relates to Pollywog, you know that I believe they've made a statement they're going to forgive us something. That was a pretty significant number.
They're not forgiving us. They would remove the lien from the property,
DEP,
but
yes.
but not remove the judgment from the landowner. So if he has any other properties, it would stay on those properties. So estimated cost, I believe it was $30,000 owed in back taxes.
Back taxes?
I got a breakdown. I didn't understand it.
Did you get permission to go on any of those? Yeah, on any of those properties? You said you had trouble.
Well, that's what I get with Mark. We had a long time ago, gave permission. We stopped. I got to go back and read the staff report, but we stopped when we seen the DEP.
One property we got access to was the sheriff's.
Yeah.
Sheriff's.
Dad.
And this is right across from the sheriff's.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, right.
Anyway, Gonna be asking you again next meeting.
Got it. Not next week.
Any further discussion on the board?
No, sir.
Any further discussion from the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bring us to awards and appearances. Does anyone, I know Mr. Howard's not here, is anyone else here tonight, or
I don't think so.
want to read these into the minutes and, pass them? What do you want to do?
You don't have to read them. I mean, you can just, you can
If
approve
someone
them.
was here, we could,
Motion to approve. I make a motion to approve proclamations as presented.
I'll second.
motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Iglesias.
Just to be clear, is that the third one too, or just the
That's
first
all
two?
of them, yes, sir.
Okay.
Covered all three. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Shame.
Staff reports.
All right, Chairman, I have 2 agenda items. I have 2 walk-on agenda items, so a total of 4. First one I have for you is the public transportation grants. I emailed that out to you, looking for,
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Second item is a transfer of 6 transit vehicles that belong to the FDOT to Hendry County for,
Make the motion to approve the acceptance of the 6 transit vehicles.
By Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
next item I have for you was a staff report that I emailed regarding change order number 4 to the contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley, also known as CMT, for the preliminary engineering design services for a perishable air cargo complex at Everglades Airport.
Second.
By Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Iglesias. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the last item I have for you is LaBelle Airport permission to submit a pre-application for federal grant assistance for extension of taxiway B.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
All right, for you, Shane.
Mr. Lapp?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have this property, 709 Arkansas Avenue, that we became the owner of. We have a particular person who's interested in buying it, so the request is to declare it as surplus and authorize direct negotiations, including the required public notice, and then for the administrator to negotiate what she can and bring back that deal to you if she's able to have a deal to present. Yes.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Iglesias. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Lemkel? I'll pronounce that correct.
Yes, sir. How you doing? Richard Lemkel here from Emergency Management. Just here to request formal adoption of the 2020 revision for the local mitigation strategy. It's a 5-year strategy that is required by FEMA and by federal law for us to adopt by all 3 jurisdictions in the county. And so we can start here and then move on through the rest of our jurisdictions. It does have federal monies attached to it. We've adopted this twice before, in 2010 and in 2016. And so that's kind of where we are.
Is it fully funded?
There is no, adoption of this local mitigation strategy is tied to federal grants for mitigation and for public assistance through FEMA after a disaster. So if we don't have it adopted, like we did twice before, it will prevent us from getting those mitigation dollars in the future.
I motion that
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Byrd, second by Commissioner Iglesias. Any further discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Davis?
Yes, we have the legislative priorities for you. They were emailed out from Emily. She's coming forward to answer any questions you might have. It is a 5-page document, oh, here it is right in front of me. But the thing to focus on is on page 2, we have 4 major priorities. And so we have the joint request with Glades County, as we did last year, that was not funded, but the amount has been updated. We have the Port LaBelle utility water treatment plant expansion, as we discussed at the last meeting, to put in there with all the development that is going on out in Port LaBelle. In addition, we have the Port LaBelle utility wastewater collection system improvements that need to be done. And then lastly, we have the force main. The reason the force main, to complete it, it says placeholder, is because we were hoping, we have 3 grant requests out right now to complete the force main, and if for some reason we are blessed enough to receive one of those grants before session begins, this would come off. I think Emily had some things she wanted to discuss with you from the lobbyists and some of the things they were looking for, and she'll go into that in a minute. The rest of the document just basically has some of our other priorities. They're not going to be appropriation requests, but it's a document for internally, for our staff, for our consultants and our lobbyists to see what other things that are important to Hendry County. So if things come up as the year goes by outside of appropriation requests, they know what our needs are and they might be able to assist us with that.
Yes, Commissioners, Emily Hunter, Communications and Legislative Coordinator. The 4 appropriation requests on the first page, first of all, I wanted to know if you had any questions, concerns, comments about those. If you like these 4 appropriation requests, it was asked that we number them with as priority. This is a lot of, a large dollar request, so if we happen to not get one or only are allotted some money, which items are priorities for you all. So if you all want to have that conversation.
First, so we could finish the project that we had already started.
That would be the force main.
I would ask too that that when we present this, that we update our picture. It seemed to resonate very well with the legislators, where they could see what status we're in.
The
orange,
phasing
red,
map.
green. Yes, ma'am. Okay. And just show them. I mean, I've said it a number of times. The picture speaks 1,000 words, and I'll never forget Representative Rashine, looking at that and saying, "Wow." So you're telling me we've given y'all this much money and this allowed us to go this far on the map. And I just think that if we could put that in there and put that as priority number 1. Now, the reality is they haven't appropriated anything. They go to committee week, next month?
Yes.
Next month, they're going to be in committee. And is it next month? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, they go into committee. Obviously, you can speak with Representative Mello, and we all know how much influence Senator Pasadomo is going to have, or has, and is going to increase. The point I'm making very longly here is that I think if we could show them what we've done, and then where we're at, and in the event we get that awarded through the DEP grant cycles, we just snatch it right off, but I think that it lets them know, and it also allows them to be able to celebrate amongst their colleagues. Look at how much push we've had. It also shows the DEP that this is a major priority for us, and so it's going to be more emphasis for them to do that. I don't know how y'all arrived at 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I think that number 4 is not in 4 out of a slight. I think it's because y'all feel so confident that we're going to get the grants, so I'm good with that.
Right, but they weren't in any specific.
Okay, good. So I'd love to know. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on what number 1 versus number 4 should be. I kind of thought that the North LaBelle joint request with Glades County, no disrespect to anybody, but I kind of thought that came, it came kind of late in the discussion. But I think that's got a lot of potential to get funded.
Well, we have different pots of money too.
Yep.
And so we've got 3 water and wastewater projects, if you will, that might look like that may or may not come from at least the same area, if not the same exact bucket of money. But then the public safety, we had it last year, and it was a joint request, which Glades took lead last year. But we just wanted to put it on here because it is a joint request. But I believe they will continue to have that as one of their main priorities as well, with my discussions with Mr. Jones. And they are looking to get some land donated. And then him and I have also talked about, in the event that it doesn't get funded, maybe a plan B, going forward to still be able to make this happen, maybe in a little bit of a different form. So I think, yes.
Not to cut you off, but Commissioner Wills, you have a great plan B already queued up, do you not?
Well, that is pretty much what our plan B discussion was, but it was a matter of where the funds were going to come from.
Well, here's all I would say. Here's all I would say to that, Ms. Davis. And I think that this speaks very true to you and your background in business and understanding different things. So I don't think you ever want to ride around in the cheapest vehicle you can get, but I also notice you don't drive a Cadillac Escalade even though you could afford one. You know what I mean? And I think what I'm driving at here is I've heard you say the same things, boss. And so, you know, I think you ought to get aggressive with Mr. Jones over there. Now, if they're wanting a Taj Mahal, I'm going to be honest with you, I want to back away. I don't want a multi-million-dollar facility on that end of the river that we're all throwing things at. I don't want that. If you want to put a red iron, you want to call it Tyson Steel's building out of Doe Run, Georgia, and you want to spend $400,000, which is an incredible metal building, and that's putting a generator power in there, and that's got a whole bunch of stuff in and a number of very large bay doors. Let's do it.
Functional.
Let's talk to them. Let's get after it.
Well, they do want to talk, and I don't know if we've started that communication yet with the dates with the
But
commissioners.
$900,000 makes me nervous.
It started out at 7 last year.
It was 700,000.
And
Made
they-
it to the governor's office and was vetoed by the governor.
They got turned down, didn't they?
It was vetoed. It made it to the governor's desk and it was vetoed.
But the Glades County Commission does want to speak with you. You know, we had a joint meeting. We're due
Oh,
to
they
have,
killed it. Yeah.
we're due to have another one. The topic this will be a big topic of discussion for us to have. So we wanted to go ahead and put it on here so we could jointly request it again. For this session, but I think we were planning right after the first of the year to try to get with Glades County to have a joint meeting with you all, and so that discussion will occur fairly shortly.
I'll close with this, Chairman. We have property. We can put that property on there as this is all both our push towards our dollar investment. Now the state looks at that. The state says, okay, now you're thinking what? $200,000 to Glades, $200,000 to Hendry. Now you guys have already matched that with your property and a building that you have, and you just want to upgrade. We're going to get that.
Way more. Yeah.
They're going to do that. That's so
More settled
palatable.
with that.
Well,
Yeah.
we got money we can put on this too out of the West MSBU.
There you go.
Well, you got to remember with the budget shortfalls due to COVID that
Yeah,
money's
they're-
going to be
they're
tight, so they're going to be picking and
multi-billions.
choosing.
They're going to
what-
be mighty sticky, but I still think
Be a life safety issue.
there you go.
You throw that on top of the pie, but again, you don't have to have the whole pie. We can get by with half of it.
Yes, sir.
Once we find out this is not going to work, we need to go over there and put a EMS, Sheriff's Department, put the fire truck in there. We've been talking about this for 5 years.
Yes, sir. I agree.
We're talking about this like we do the creeks. We just keep talking.
I think
Y'all
the
talked about-
joint effort
Or that one lady's house that has all the stuff in it.
That's never happened.
Yep.
These two items on Port LaBelle, those are, I don't know if we'll get them or what, but those are big items where they're building 150 houses a year out there. That's really big items.
Shane, out of the two Port LaBelle projects, which one's more important to you?
Well, I would just say,
Likely the wastewater, because.
That's what I was thinking.
yeah,
And DEP would be all over that.
but I would just say that if you
That
look
is
at the
the BMAP is
the
involved
number
in
of
it.
units engaged in here, I think that we ask for both. But I'm going to be presumptuous here. But Shane, Dan DeLisi's working on these as well with DEP, also, correct?
I don't know if he's working on these specific ones yet. We have a Tetra Tech working on getting the analysis to be ready to request them, but this has just all come about for this request, but he will be.
Okay.
He absolutely will be.
This should be in our next cycle. To what you just talked about, Commissioner Iglesias. This should be in our next cycle of going to DEP. Y'all need to visit with our consultant on this one, and Polywog.
Wastewater is going to be the main topic, I believe, and I believe that's the one we're going to jump out with quickest.
I think they're gonna be all over both of these.
That'd be great, but
Yeah.
if not, we really need to push for the
Yeah.
wastewater.
I mean, I would love to see the water treatment plant expanded, I would, but we have some work to do before that needs to take place. I feel you need to go with a wastewater collection system because we have money we're spending now. I don't think we're going to have enough money to fix it. We have other repairs we need to make. Just to be clear, this is not the expansion. This is fixing infiltration, exfiltration, which ends up helping us. If you recall, the city of Clueston, they fixed their I&I, is what they call that, and they end up increasing their plant capacity, and we want to increase our
It
plant
increases your
capacity.
current, I mean, just
But with all the water quality issues, I think you get the biggest bang for the buck right here.
So Mr. Chair, with that being said, Shane, are you receptive to talking to anybody that has silver bullets for this type of stuff? Do they need to talk to you? It's a yes or no question. Through Ms. Davis, if there's a company out there that says they can fix this, especially on the I&I issues, you know.
Basically, we've got plans that Tetra Tech's doing now. They're just about wrapped up. We're getting ready to go out to bid for some repair work in different places of the ones that are the worst areas.
Yep.
But we just need the money so that we can fund the construction. We've already done the TVing of the sewer lines and stuff. We know what we need to do. We just got to have the plans to, we have the money to prepare brief set of plans or specs so that we can give to the contractor and put out the bid. So,
So, you know, again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The city of Moorhaven just went through a huge expansion between their water and sewer plants. So we can probably maybe piggyback off of some of that as well. They've just completed a big portion of that work just in the last several months, so.
So, Mr. Chair, are we looking at Everglades Airport number 1, Port LaBelle Utility Sewer Lines number 2, E9113, then plant expansion 4?
I would put,
I was
the
thinking we're
safety
kind of
number
flipping
2.
it all upside down.
I would
Yep.
put safety number 2.
I agree with that. Then again, like Mr. Harris said, we really, I mean, we are in a situation to where if the Fort Deneau Bridge was out of service,
Somebody's gonna
God
die.
forbid,
Which has been.
many times, and it continues to be. I mean, it's just part of it. And I'm not saying anything negative at all. I'm just saying if that bridge is out of service and anything at all happens on this bridge here, say an accident. We had an accident on there a month or so ago. Traffic was backed up for hours. If you can't get an ambulance across neither one of those bridges, you've got to go to Moorhaven or you've got to go to Alva. If you have to have an ambulance or a fire truck. So I personally believe we really need, 5 years, we shouldn't have been talking about this 5 years. We have said many times, we can put something over there just to get our constituents where they are safe.
As soon as we can get a yes or no on this, that's what we'll do.
I would respectfully disagree, Commissioner Harris, and the reason why is I want to expedite what you and Commissioner Wills have been talking about, and that is, you know, I think that this needs to be a front burning item for you, because I don't say this meanly, because I'm tired of hearing them say this needs to be something that we engage on, and it's like, look at us hearing government talking, right? Yeah.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yes, sir. I understand. And so what I'm saying is I agree with you 100%, and I think that you are not allowed to go to the meeting until Ms. Harris gives you the green light.
Okay.
I think if Commissioner Wills wants to engage it with Ms. Davis and Mr. Jones in Moorhaven, then y'all need to do that. But we need to. There's a low-hanging fruit that can be had here, that we meet the merit of what y'all are saying, which we give a facility that allows our infrastructure to be out of the sunlight, our people to be somewhat more comfortable over there, and then we can move forward with solid plans of what we want to do, and then try to get them to engage of saying, yep, we like this, we're receptive to
We
it.
need to go on and do it.
Yes, sir. I agree. I don't disagree with you.
Because all government does is talk.
I understand. Yes, sir. Yep. So you know, I don't necessarily agree with the almost $1 million request to the state, but at the same time, I'm gonna say, if y'all want to make this number 2, let's just really sharpen it up between now and getting to legislative session. And then I think that we talk with our consultant, and we understand where we want to be on number 2 and number 3 on this list, being 3 and 4, and how we want to push those up the ladder. I think right now they're 3 and 4. Flip a coin on whichever one you want, and then let's go with it. And then, guys, I've told y'all this before in this exact meeting. It's odd for me to talk about it because my livelihood is based around the Fort Deneau, bridges that are like Fort Deneau. But we need to make that ask more concrete. To Ms. Davis's point, that's a completely different pot of money. We need to make sure that we have it into the 5-year FDOT plan. Where it's at is probably not anywhere in the DOT plan in the next 15, 20 years. We need to put hard teeth into this. We need to use our friend Anath Prasad with the chair of the Florida Transportation Builders Association. We need to make this something that's happening so that it does give us the comfort that we need to have. The city of Fort Lauderdale did City of Fort Lauderdale did a rehab on their swing bridge. I say this every year. They did a rehab on their swing bridge. Heck, it's probably been 7 years ago now. The bridge that they gave us is the bridge that's up there now, and they gave us that back in 1950 something or 1960. I don't know. It was a long, long time ago. They gave us the swing bridge, and they've already rehabbed that bridge twice down there in the city of Fort Lauderdale on 11th Avenue. That was the old 11th Avenue bridge in the city of Fort Lauderdale. So, we threw that number out there at $11.5 million because that's exactly what it cost to redo theirs when they redid it a few years ago. That number's probably upwards of 15 now, but it's a COVID world. It may be pulling up tight. I mean, I know that the district just had a number of projects that came in considerably under the engineer's estimate. Shane, I don't know how that's looking for y'all, but we're seeing that starting to happen a little bit, and that hasn't happened in quite some time. Projects are coming in under estimate. So that's it, and then the Harlem Civic Center and the emergency critical power generators. I don't know where those live, and the only thing I would say is I'd love to I don't like having open-ended asks, so I'd rather not see them on there unless we have a succinct plan with it and there's a dollars and cents associated with it, and they can give us. I don't care if they give us 50 cents on the dollar, but I want it to be drilled in on the request, and that's just my thoughts on y'all.
And that's something that, and Rich is sitting back there, he can speak to this as well. All the years working with generators, we have schools that we take portable generators to. We should not be doing that.
I think a front-burning item that's not on this list is the Clueston Middle School should be a special needs shelter, and we should be making that something that falls not behind, but those asks are just as critical to each other. Because right now, if you're a special needs person in Hendry County,
Go to Glades County.
you got to go all the way to Muse. So if you're in Clueston and even in Belle Glade, I don't know where their facility is. I can't remember, Emily, but it's not good. And so I think that needs to be right up there. Bifurcated ask that we make that front and center. And then this is one of those ones, Emily. We need to lean on Commissioner Swindle, aka Superintendent Swindle, to say this needs to be part of your legislative priority. And I don't know what their legislative ask look like, but we need to find out what that is.
So if I could just talk about that, we have CDBG-MIT grants that we're getting ready and we're talking about internally right now for special needs shelters. And I just had a discussion earlier today with Ms. Perez. It's not Perez. Stafford, I'm sorry. She just recently got married, and about this specific item. And so said just what you were saying, Commissioner Turner, we need to have a conversation with Mr. Swindle as a new superintendent, see what he's got going on, see what their plans are, and we need to work with them to incorporate maybe this ask for this summer for the CDBG-MIT from a county perspective, and work with the school and accomplish, hopefully, their needs and our needs together, and it should be more efficient and cost less in the long run to do that.
The middle school is one of ours we take a portable to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What do you have to do to make it?
What do we have to do to make this a front level ask?
Yeah, and on the special needs.
I think all we have to do is decree it right now and give staff the direction to say, hey, make this one of the front page items.
Commissioner Harris, are you asking what the requirements are for it to be a special needs shelter?
You got to meet ADA compliance, and then we have to. There's a laundry list of things, Commissioner Harris, but I think that we would be pleasantly surprised at how easy it is to actually make that occur.
So we had that as part of our request 2 years ago.
Yes.
And our feedback from the legislatures at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, were that we should submit grants. There's grant funding, and they didn't see that as a winner on an appropriation request, but there was grant funding out there for that. So that's kind of that's where we.
Right. And that's why, so that first page is our appropriation request specific. We'll fill out the form, send to the House and Senate. The rest of this document is more of an internal document for staff, consultants, lobbyists. So our lobbying team knows what the concerns and issues are for Hendry County, and if something pops
Never gonna
up.
brag about it, but she brought us more money working with our consultants through the grant process than you did in any of our appropriations, Ms. Hunter. That's a fact.
I didn't do that, but
multi-million dollars. So I think one of them was just what was Four Corners alone, 4 or something, 4.2. Look at her. Look, she knew the 4. And so we pay her this much, and she got us this much. So, you know.
Pay her way too
So
much.
let's pay her this much so she can get us this much.
Give my man
Sound like you're getting to run for a raise.
what Commissioner Harris said, though. He said we pay her way too much.
He knows that.
She won't be driving you to meetings anymore.
I never have.
She might be driving a little more aggressive.
Shane, you got a new job, bud.
All right, well, thank you for that. Thank you for that
That's Shane's
clarification.
job.
Ms. Hunter,
Page one,
on that.
yes.
Yeah, got you.
Or 2, I'm sorry.
So, yeah. Well, I'm good with it, Mr. Chair. You know,
Okay.
Ms. Hunter, just, you know, no disrespect to any of the people that are up there, but they're an elected official just with a higher office than what we have. But I think you should make it just as clear as the big nose on my face that that's exactly what you're talking about right here, you know. And I know that they'll get it, and I know their staff will get it, but, you know, just. And then I think anytime we can use a picture, man, I was dumbfounded at how much that
Well,
helps.
I don't really have intentions of, I might provide legislative staff with this whole document,
Yeah.
but I have no intentions of showing a
And
legislative.
then, you know, too, I mean, like we're talking about that special needs shelter. We were doing a grant application. Could you imagine how impactful that is if it shows no, you know, you have a map of South Florida and a 40-minute drive to anything else that's close to it. I think that really sticks out.
When you present the Port LaBelle bill, do you present stats with it, like how many homes per year?
Definitely.
I'm working on getting the number in North LaBelle, residents in North LaBelle, for both
That's
Hendry and Glades
That's
County, so-
impressive.
We can't say this out loud, Commissioner Harris, but I think Port LaBelle is going to score out quicker than the final segment of Everglades because there are so many units, AKA homes, coming online. And DEP is wanting to clean up the Lake Okeechobee Basin Management Action Plan, so, you know, they can justify in their BMAP all day long. Hopefully none of them are tuned in right now and watching that, but I know that that's something that scores it through the roof, so to speak, so, yep.
Good with that, everybody's good?
Oh, we're good.
You got your
We
direct,
got
you got
action.
your marching orders, so we're
Oh,
good?
we're good.
Thank you.
Have one walk-on item, an assemblage.
Commissioners, you have a walk-on item from Sabrina Gadsden and myself regarding the contract for the Servium Group. They're the ones that won the bid for the ship assistance. And so attached is the contract, and we did hear from the Servium Group that they're in agreement with the contract as is. And so staff is recommending that the board authorize the chairman or the vice chairman to execute the contract.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
By district.
Okay, Ms. Turner, you don't have anything.
Well,
You don't have anything?
I came prepared to talk for about 45 minutes, but in light of
Mr. Glaciers don't have anything either.
Mr. Harris being here, I want to get him out of here. I just want to say thank you.
Ready to go?
This has been a challenging year, you know, running, but I want to thank staff, Margaret, Shane, Emily, Mark, Jennifer, and many that are not in this room. You guys have made it seamless. I've got a lot to learn. I spent the past week with Commissioner Byrd and Commissioner Turner up at Fax in Jacksonville, and Commissioner Burrows from Okeechobee says it's kind of like drinking water out of a fire hose, and boy, did he nail that analogy. So I've got a lot to learn, but I'm looking forward to it. So I just want to tell you guys thank you.
Byrd.
Just want to say, congrats, glad to see you here. I don't have much to say, I just want Emily to know that January, we'll be
Just glad to be here.
right.
4 weeks ago, they didn't know if I was going to make it.
Prayed for you.
Made it.
Yes.
Can't stop him.
You said Commissioner Turner didn't have anything?
No, I
he
do.
don't
I do.
We left her out.
I took care of it.
What do we have? What do we have to do? So look, my community in Ladika does not have any mailbox cover You know what I'm talking about? The mailboxes are just open in the wide open. And they have that large thing there, and people's mail gets rained on. I know that we're going to be told, you know, it's property of the post office. I'm at a point now, I want to fix it. Pioneer has the same thing.
Ontura has the same thing.
Who built it? When did they build it? Pioneer has a nice one. Pioneer has a nice cover over their facility, but I'm being told it needs to be re-roofed. What do we know about this?
We're working on that in another community right now as well.
Where are y'all working on that? Other states.
At a meeting.
We've met with the postmaster, Ms. Simlage and Mr. Parker are working diligently with her, and they weren't even receiving mail. Part of Henry County and paying taxes and not even having a mailbox out there, so.
So my proposal, Mr. Chair, is I'd love to find out, I don't know if it's an easement or right of usage or what we have to do on the dirt and who owns it. You know, like Pioneer, I mean, I think that might be our property, but either way, you get the gist of what I'm saying. And I'd love to see a hard estimate of what it costs to put a little structure up and then re-roof the structure at Pioneer. The structure at Pioneer works perfectly. But, you know, I hope this isn't one of those ones that we can get into a situation, but we get into a situation where it's, oh, we don't really know who has ownership and this, that, and the other. And 3 years from now, we're still talking about this. This needs to be, in my opinion, in 180 days, this is fixed everywhere. And 180 days is a long time, but it goes by pretty quickly. So I'm willing to give a half a year on that. But I'd love to see it happen before rainy season begins. You know, so those. You know, I think that's something that should be added to old business. I'd love to see that on there. I'd love to see the old business list in every agenda packet, the physical list itself. And then Shane, I'm getting beat up hard on roads in Pioneer and Ladika. They're wanting fill, and that I'd love for you to look into that. Mr. Townsend's very frustrated down there on Tangelo, and as Ever High ends, he said, you know, essentially the constituents are making a new road at the end of Ever High in the median there. And then we've wanted some children at play signs on the back road in there. We've had not a huge population increase, but there are a lot more young people on that road, so we could get those up. Please don't make that be a situation where, you know, I walked into a meeting in Pioneer and they gave me a standing ovation because 3 years from the day I asked, we finally got some horse signs on the side of Henry Isles. Appreciate that, Mr. Parker. So, and then I do want to get an update from you electronically on Flaghole and know where that stands with us. And that's it, really. I'm just so happy to see Commissioner Harris here and the rest of y'all, and look forward to getting after it. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
So everybody down there don't have a box?
They have, so the boxes are there in the I don't know what you would call it, just the giant mailbox has all the individual boxes, right, Commissioner Harris? And in Ladika, they have that, but it's open. It has no coverage over it. In Pioneer, they have it, but now the coverage is starting to fail a little bit, so we need to get it repaired.
So nobody has like a regular box in front of their house?
No, I don't think they do, actually, sir. Yes, sir.
Wheeler Estates, Mr. Harris, said there's a problem with the distance they have to travel. We just spoke with the postmaster. And that's why they're doing, the post office provides the boxes. They will provide the boxes, they will install the boxes, and we're in the same situation. We're trying to figure out about the property, how it's going to work, lease and all this other stuff, and I'm in the same boat you are. I'm just trying to wait to let it play out, but I'm in the same boat you are. These are our constituents. These are folks that pay taxes. We need to take care of them.
So where do they get their mail?
They have to either go to Lehigh or they have to drive to LaBelle. They have nothing delivered at all.
A P.O. box somewhere.
Well, they will give them a P.O. box in either LaBelle or Fort Myers.
Yeah, they got to drive to town.
Yeah, Big Cypress was like that too for a while. You know, they had the same conundrum, and BC the Seminole Tribe just built an amazing smaller post office in their emergency management facility.
Wheeler's going to grow too.
It's growing as well. Yeah. Well, the roof and the roof you're talking about, Commissioner Turner, it really, if the eaves were a little longer on that, it would help.
Yeah.
Because you have just enough room to stand there and open your box.
Yes, sir.
So and there's not much to it, really. There isn't. It consists of a building. They walk in the building, they put the mail in, the carriers, So it's just a little bitty building. It's just wide enough for them to walk in and put mail in, and then the eve of a roof over the top of it, and that's all it is.
Yes, sir.
It's locked up.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Turner, the Montura mailbox and the Pioneer mailbox are almost identical. There's a size difference, and they're both having issues. We've chased it down. I checked with Margaret. There's no permit pulled by Central County or anybody on that mailbox structure. No one knows who owns it. The Postal Service is saying that from 2012, they put it back on developers to be responsible for it. Well, our argument is there's no developers.
Yeah.
So
let's
I
steal
think
it from
every
them.
district has that mailbox problem.
Let's steal it and let's own it. We'll just steal them outright. We'll put a flag in the ground and say that we own these buildings, and then we'll fix them and maintenance them and make it happen.
We got to pay for it.
That's fine.
It's going to be minimal.
It's a minimal
for the
cost.
service that it'll provide, it'll be minimal.
I mean, I could name names of
Make it
people
happen.
that could put pressure treated, and put a nice little facility up and be done.
If they do it on Saturday or
Already?
Sunday, they'll never know it.
Is that your department?
Anybody got anything else?
If they do it on the
Mr. Harris out of here. Meeting adjourned.